All right. Here we go.
Part 2.
Part 2. Okay, so this one, we're going to start trying to talk more about identity here, even though I think we did a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like I'm a teacher or something. I'm trying to All right.
Did well.
So,
You're making us feel special.
this is focused on online avatars. How does wearing an avatar, you're essentially nameless on the internet, you can be whoever you want to. How does that affect how you interact with people online? Is it different than how you would interact with people in real life? And why is that, if the answer is yes?
Well, obviously, having the mask of the internet with online multiplayer, it's kind of like, I guess, a good example of this is YouTube. I never think of the people on YouTube as intelligent, intelligent people, you know, who are open-minded.
It's probably just one dude on there.
Just one dude.
One guy that's really good at just playing lots of masks, yeah.
And they, you know, it's just an environment that I feel just breeds just absolute cesspools of hate and racism.
Are we talking about 4chan?
Well, just, it is amazing what can happen on a comment thread, excuse me, when you're looking through a YouTube video.
Great example, Rebecca Black's Friday.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
When it first came out, well, I guess not like directly when it came out, but like on the Monday where it became popular, I sat for half an hour watching the comments of hatred and what you just said, the cesspool of hate, bleeding down.
That song is very catchy.
Oh gosh, here we go.
But yeah, I think hiding behind like the username, it definitely breeds hate. Like, why? I would never walk up to Rebecca Black and be like, "That was terrible of you."
You stupid, dumb.
No, like the comments would be like, "Your mother." Insert phrase about her dying in some horrible death and should never have had you.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've seen some awful things people have said about just every race, every group of people. It's a disgusting place.
Two potato, one beyond.
I mean, well, yeah, I mean, it's exactly. And when it comes to multiplayer games,
I've heard of 8th grades or someone from like 8 years old say, it's bad.
Oh yeah, I literally had a case where I was at a friend's house. He has a little brother. They were playing Halo online, and he was using the headset, and just racial slurs started coming out of him. Like, you are 10 years old. You stop that. Like,
it's 4chan.
It's 4chan.
4chan has grown.
Call of Duty is the 4chan of consoles.
Oh, that's terrifying. I never want. If the internet actually exists in a corporeal place, you know, like YouTube actually has a room that people can go to. It's kind of like that Dave Chappelle episode, you know. That kind of, I do not ever want to go to 4chan's room. That'd be the most disgusting, sick place. Literally gore and.
But think of Raptor Jesus.
Raptor Jesus.
I could go to Raptor Jesus' room. 4chan, I would.
But yeah, I mean, I guess I can mention my roommate. I'll leave him unnamed.
Yeah, you should actually tell that story you told me about the nice thing you did for him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel a majority of the time, they're just awful people on Xbox Live. At least from my experience. Just listening to them, it is maddening and just upsetting how mean they can be to one another. But then there are cases like my roommate. He trash talks people all the time. I mean, he gets supremely angry. And he'll often send messages or like, "Why are you even playing this game? You suck. Please stop playing. You're ruining it for everyone else. Your mom." I mean, just the whole gamut of things that he can say.
Period.
Yeah. He'll usually say. Yeah. But upon one occasion, he was playing Battlefield 3 and sniping, as he usually does. And there's someone else that's counter-snipering him, and but they're not doing as well. And so they're shooting at him, but they're not hitting him. They're getting close, but they're not hitting him. And my roommate just keeps nailing him, just keeps killing him over and over again. But the kid keeps coming back, trying to kill him. He finally sends him a message like, "You suck. Why are you even playing this, you idiot? Like, come on, shoot higher. Can you not hit me? Ha ha ha." And the kid sends him a message back and like, "I'm sorry, man. I'm really actually not that good. I guess I'll stop bothering you." And it was a voice message, and it was the saddest thing I've ever heard in my life. It was upsetting, and he felt bad. He had created remorse in this person that obviously didn't need any more.
That's depressing.
And so my roommate actually coached him about how to hit him better with the sniper rifle in this video game. And he finally got a headshot on him, and like, "Hey, good job, man. Just, keep using that rifle, keep using that scope, do what I told you to, and I'm sure you'll get more kills that way, but don't expect any more freebies." And that was the end of the conversation. And it was one of those rare moments where you see humanity rear its head.
There is humanity there.
4chan finally took its claws off of it.
Yeah, I saw a post just recently on a subreddit on Reddit, and it was a post on 4chan that they had copied it, and 4chan actually refused to mock a kid whose mother just died. It was impressive. I feel like
okay.
you're a jerk. That's just a jerk move.
Oh yeah, no, and it's always comforting to see those moments of light.
It's real nice, because
Yeah.
it's a real cloudy day.
Yeah, it's a real cloudy day every day on 4chan.
Have you guys heard of Zimbardo? He did experiments, and he took some college kids and put them in a kind of a fake prison.
Yeah, the Zimbardo prison experiment.
Yeah. Well, one of the conclusions he came up with is when people wear masks, they're more likely to do violent things and hurt other people.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if that's just what we're talking about is just an extension of that.
To expand on the experiment, one of the big things is there are 6 guards and 6 prisoners, if I'm not mistaken, and Zimbardo, the lead experimenter, was the prison warden.
Right.
One of the, originally everyone was kind of awkward about what was going on. They're like, okay, we kind of know our roles, but we're gonna, keep to a highest sense.
And that's a very important part, I think, is the role part. But yeah, go on.
One man, he says, "You know what? It's a quick experiment. I'm going to play as much as I want." He does that. Within, 5 or 6 days, the experiment's canceled. They're leading the prisoners in, bags over their head, leading them to the bathroom.
Those people were traumatized for life from this.
No, it was a horrible experiment.
Yeah.
What happened is awful. But what ended up happening is one person kind of just said, "I'm going to just barely progress this role," in what might be a negative stereotype of it, and the entire thing just slipped in. It's one of the moments where I say, the slippery slope actually existed.
Well, it's like when you're a kid, this intense level of play, this play that you do can become reality, and then you just kind of fall into that role, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think video games are a lot like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where in the sense of, I bet in the beginning of video games, everyone was nice to each other. Like, yeah, you're another human being, and I respect you for shooting me with your tank.
Yeah, thank you. I really like that.
That was a great. They're like, hey, that was a great shot. How did you do that?
Mm-hmm.
But it's moved from that to where, if you can include hippopotamus, puff magic dragon, and your mom within the same one sentence insult about somebody, you're doing quite well.
Mm-hmm.
It seems as if when you can make people more into abstractions rather than actual people, that's when you really can start doing terrible things to others. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the same online, where you don't see the other people, so you feel like they aren't really people. You can do whatever you want to with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, relating back to your story, once your roommate heard this sad human.
Yeah, that's true.
There was a sad human that actually does have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I bet the voice played a part in it as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
if it was just a message, he would have been like, "Whatevs, I don't care. Delete this game. Break your disc."
Yeah.
But if his voice of just, "Hey, I know I'm not that great." That's really discomforting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In my political science class, we watched a movie, I think, Faces of the Enemy or something like that, where this guy interviews this man who killed a bunch of people. And at the end of the interview, the interviewer, I don't remember exactly what he says, but then the guy responds back, maybe it would have been easier if we never had talked at all. And the interviewer's like, yeah, it would have been. Because now he sees the killer, who he could make an abstraction, now he sees him as an actual person, and he can sort of start to relate, even though he had known the people that had been murdered. Which is really interesting, I think.
See, that is actually a very interesting point.
It's not a condition, it's kind of a thing that can occur, and it's named after a detective over a case, and he noticed that after all these people have been held hostage, after they were released and stuff, they were like, hey, you should be really nice to these guys, because they had that interaction. They all felt like, humans. They weren't abstract. Right. They weren't the robber in the bank. They were, Fred, who is trying to get money for his family, right. So on and so forth. I mean, they were people. Even they were held hostage. I mean, it was not good. They could have been killed. They were defending that person. So
right.
They were, once they become human, you have empathy for humans, but you want to really hurt abstract objects, or at least you're okay with really hurting abstract objects.
Which, I wonder why that is. It's curious.
Maybe it's like...
I think this is just complete speculation, is that we delight in the roles we play, We delight in being the hero, and once you perceive yourself as being the hero, as this absolute hero, then you can start making absolute enemies. And I think this is something we do naturally. We create narratives for ourselves. I think it's just part of being human.
That's actually kind of an interesting thought.
Yeah. Well played, sir. Well played.
Well played.
Thank you. Okay. Well, this is a really interesting question. So, this next one will hopefully be very interesting as well. Explain Minecraft and what makes it appealing to you.
This isn't going to be interesting at all.
Okay. I guess I like to think of Minecraft. It is a 3D canvas, and I am the painter.
Awesome.
You are dropped in a world with nothing. You are like a newborn. And
big blocky newborn.
A big blocky newborn. And you are given the opportunity to basically do whatever you want with this world.
Right.
You can simply die. You can build a home for yourself, get some pets, make a garden, make an irrigation system, create a doorbell for your house. I mean, the number of things you can do is really ridiculous. This game
is so cool.
Build a mall. You can build a cathedral. You can replicate the USS Enterprise. You can recreate the original Resident Evil, entire Resident Evil area. You can create 16-bit computers. You can create calculators, 16-bit based. You can create traps for other players if you're playing multiplayer.
People have recreated like scale models of a globe.
Another, actually, referring to your painter thing, it's actually become real popular to create pixel art on Minecraft. So you see, Sonic the Hedgehog's like... You also get griefers coming out of Minecraft, which is also an activity. Great griefers.
Which that links kind of back to our last question. I mean, griefers are people that come into your game and just destroy what you have created.
That we should make a game that's from the griever's perspective.
Oh God!
We can start to relate with the griever.
If you could relate with a griever, you might hate him a little bit more.
It's kind of like that Zubat thing I told you. You remember that?
Oh yeah.
You should tell me it again. I can't remember what I said. But...
Wasn't it like the Zubat were starving?
Yeah.
And that because all of the other Pokemon in the area are rock types, so like the normal thing of we eat each other isn't happening. Zubats can't eat rocks. So they hoard on you not because they're attacking you, but because they want you to capture them so you can tend to them.
It's so depressing.
But yeah, I mean that.
And then you're kind of like, you're attacking me because you need help.
Yeah,
because you need help.
You're like, I hate these Zubats. Leave me alone. I just want to play. I want to get through this stupid cave. And oh my god, they're all dying.
They died. Their race is going extinct because of their poor environmental eating habits.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's just not that many Parises in the cave. You know? There's way more Zubats than there is.
Way more Zubats. We're all just Zubats.
They can't eat moonstones like the Clefairies.
Oh, but I mean, like, I hear a lot of mockery on the internet anyway about people who, because I hear horror stories about people who create Minecraft files. They create something really cool. They make a pirate ship or a scale model of the Death Star or the Mona Lisa via blocks. I mean,
so cool.
And but somehow, you know, a griever comes in and destroys it, or a file gets corrupted, and you know, people put time and effort into this, and it's art.
It's legitimate art.
It's like when we talk about your city melting.
The wax city that melts.
Nerds put tons of time into games. They're like, that's their life. That's their baby. That's their art.
Yeah, I mean, that's their outlet.
And then it gets corrupted.
You
catch missing no.
And I hear like people mocking these individuals. Are like, "What? It's just a video game. Like, can't you just redo it?"
Yeah.
You know, and the comparison I've always heard, like, all right, how about you create a masterpiece? You make a boat by hand, or you paint something and have it be the most beautiful thing you've ever created, and then let me slash it into a million pieces, and then tell me that you can just redo it. The scale is a little different,
you know what it's
but the idea is the same.
Remember when we looked at how many hours we put into Super Smash Bros.
No.
It was so ridiculous. And then it gets deleted, and then you think back, that was my life. That was 100 hours of Jigglypuff getting crap beaten out of it. Yeah, that's gone now.
That's gone.
Yeah.
Final Fantasies. I'm thinking of Final Fantasy VIII. On the bottom right or bottom left, it had a timer, and it had hours, minutes, seconds, and it was how long your save game. Gone.
Oh god.
And after it hit 100 hours or 99, so on and so forth, it would start counting up again, but it would change colors to red.
Oh really?
And I always remember being like,
"Oh god,
it's 50 red right now." That means 150 hours of just so like that is. Yeah. I am on this game moving.
I remember in Pokemon Gold version, I played that game so much. I was at 100 hours. But those games will delete themselves because
of the battery.
Yeah, the battery. There's an internal clock. So no gold and silver from that era works anymore, apparently. So you can't save any games on the gold and silver version.
Yeah,
that's gone.
Which for video games, I mean, save files on video games are a very personal thing.
That's true.
It is amazing. I have heard just horrific stories of Pokemon as an example of people like, "Hey, you gonna play your Pokemon game?" Like,
oh man,
like sure.
See, just look at his reaction.
I know, like, but be careful. Be careful. And you give the person the game, and 15 minutes later, it's gone.
Man.
All of it gone.
Covered up your old.
I mean,
that
like,
sinking feeling when you see all my time.
Actually, I think a perfect example of that. Do you remember that game Eternal Darkness that we played?
Right.
And do you remember? Okay.
Oh yeah.
The premise is that like your character has like a fear gauge, and that fear gauge, as it increases, you start hallucinating.
Oh god.
So like, if you get afraid enough, you'll like walk into your room, and your character will just like start dismembering for no reason.
This is awesome. I love this. I love this story.
It was, oh my god. And the most terrifying moment for Nick and I was
I remember lunging.
oh yeah, we the fear gauge was really high. We're in a tough section of the game, and we walk into a room. We're like, okay, we've gotten this far, we better save, right? But we go to save screen, we hit the save button, and then a big message appears up on the screen that's like,
File corrupted.
File corrupted, game being deleted now.
There's a
We're
meter.
like, no!
Literally jump out of my chair, turn off the system. It was part of the game.
It was part of the game. Yeah, they literally put it in the game so that if it got high enough and you tried to save, it would tell you it's deleting when it's not.
That was true fear. That is true fear.
And that's just a testament to how powerful save games are.
That's terrifying.
I know. And
why would they do
that? The thing is, I knew actually going into that game that could happen.
Really?
But still, just seeing it happen, I totally forgot. I got in the level and lunged.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
crazy.
I mean, and like I've just heard stories of roommates just beating the living snot out of each other. Like, you deleted my Halo save? You will pay for your insolence. just the brawl will start. It is amazing. And I understand why. I mean, being a gamer, obviously.
Save game it's your art.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's cool. You made this wonderful masterpiece that may have taken 10 years. It's called, what is it? It's 16th Chapel, what?
Yeah.
I'm going to go erase that.
It's kind of the same thing when you think of the library in Alexandria getting burnt down. You're like, ugh! Something is just not right about that.
Oh, yeah. Maybe that's what bothers me so much about book burnings.
Yeah.
It's not even so much that, like, the physical burning itself, but just the loss of an art.
Yeah.
You're just like,
all that knowledge.
Like, the knowledge is gone.
Oh.
I mean, I guess, real world example, the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yeah.
I mean, why?
Why would you get rid of that?
Why would you do that to me?
Okay, so,
Corrupted file.
Corrupted file.
Do violent video games make players more violent? In the real world, I should say.
I think no.
I could point at a couple studies.
Okay, do it.
Let's see, Turkish study.
Turkish.
They're big onto this. It's weird.
That's interesting.
Turkish, yeah.
It's probably because in all our video games we're killing them all the time.
Weird.
That's kind of a fair point.
This one was focusing actually on do children transfer video game knowledge to other media sources? Like, can they take, in particular, this one was the name, color, and other particulars of a dog on a video game and apply that to a book media source or another media source. And would they reapply that? And it happened that if they were, I want to say 4.5 and younger, no, I want to say 5 and younger, they would.
Mm-hmm.
They would transfer that. If they were like above the 5 and up, they wouldn't. Or at least they'd be able to be like, no, these are different.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd be able to tell that difference. I know there's another study. So is there that direct relationship? Can people tell?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they can tell. We were pretty certain that they have enough like concreteness by about, let's say, age 7.
Mm-hmm.
That you can say, okay, this is this, and this is this, and they aren't the same. Now, is there like a subconscious effect? Well, I think one of the original studies was in the 90s on video games, and they used Mario.
Mm-hmm.
And they were looking at when people are cooperative, when people are competitive against each other, like Luigi and Mario playing through that, jumping on things. Mm-hmm. Overall, the study, I didn't like the study because it focused on aggression instead of being like aggression's an option.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to be really aggressive in Mario. You have to jump on stuff. You got to do that. You got the fireballs. You got to throw the fireballs. You got to kill things with the fireballs. And then they measured it with the point system. With having that. So it's really hard to make a game that can measure. Like, it's really hard to find a game that can accurately measure is aggression transferring. Mm-hmm. Thus far in the studies, as far as I know, people that are playing aggressive video games tend to be more aggressive. Mm-hmm. But that's correlation because
they're young kids.
You don't know if maybe they're more aggressive people or like more aggressive video games. Mm-hmm. Or maybe they only have the choice of aggressive video games. Or, I mean, there's just a lot of different things that could be happening. And it's really hard to like pinpoint and be like, this is it. A great example is, I don't know how many, let's say, 19 to 20-year-old males that have this innate aggressive need to just go grab a big sword and just swing it around at stuff. Because I played Monster Hunter, and I wouldn't mind taking out dragons, but in all honesty, I don't want any part of that.
You'd think also that if video games were actually causing people to be more violent, that you would see more violence in kids.
Because of the rise of video games, which didn't exist for quite some time.
As far as I've seen it, I haven't really seen that. I would almost think that kids are becoming less violent.
I think you bring up an interesting point, too, about like the type of video games that are available to play. Violent video games are very predominant.
Can you even make a video game without some sort of violence?
I mean, just walk that one around indie games.
I think
was Portal aggressive?
Like, Portal technically wasn't that aggressive.
That's true.
I mean, I guess you
are killing the sentry bots, and it's really sad when you do. Gladys comments on it.
But I think of something like Tetris, where you're not necessarily killing anything, but there's still sort of some violence implied when
they added competitive play, I believe, in the second one, and I would say that one is definitely aggressive. Tetris playing.
Yeah, well, even like with the lines getting deleted, that's in a way sort of implying some sort of death. You know, you can't really have a game without some sort of destruction. It seems.
Well, it's kind of where the line in the sand is drawn between game developers. I mean, the big three, Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft. Microsoft and Sony they make a lot of mature games.
Right.
And as a result, a lot of those games are violent in some facet. Nintendo, on the other hand, they are a purveyor of silliness when it comes to video games.
Another good example was Wii Bowling. Not aggressive. Oh, except for... if you swing the ball backwards, you can go in the crowd. I know numerous people that just do that.
Yeah. But the people don't actually get hit, do they? It's not like...
You don't see it, I assume.
Yeah, you don't see it. You see them jump, because I've seen it happen before. Like, they jump up, but I don't see any physical damage.
I don't know if people actually
10 points.
10 points. That would be really funny, though.
But Nintendo just makes games that tend to be less violent.
Yeah.
I mean...
well, they're violent in their own silly sort of ways.
Yeah, they kind of...
they're just less graphically.
Yeah, they kind of poke fun at more of the, less violent.
You're still killing things as Mario. You're still killing things as Link.
Yeah, it's like, okay, for Mario, you are jumping on people, but let's compare that to, what was it, the PS2 game Manhunt? Where you're literally, knocking people on their knees while they're, they have no idea. You knock them on the knees, and you're slowly cutting off their neck with razor wire.
This is really disturbing.
I believe it's banned in Australia and Canada.
I think I've heard of this game, actually.
It got some big news.
Yeah, I mean, and a thing to think about, too, is that games that are rated A, people don't really hear about A games that often, because on a rating scale you have kid games, K to A, kids to adults, E for everyone, T for teen, M for mature, and then A for adult. But you don't hear about adult games that often because they're not released in the U.S.
That's true.
They can be released.
The Walmart won't carry them.
But yeah, companies will not sell them because they know that it's just that A carries a lot of weight with it. And it's an adult game, so that it implies some things. So people aren't going to buy it.
It's weird how Hastings can have an adult section for movies, magazines, even the romance section in a bookstore. I'd say it's pretty graphic.
Can be, yeah.
From what I've read. It's interesting that when it comes to video games, which are so violent, that sex is so taboo in them.
That is very true.
But it's American culture in general, I guess. But yeah.
A game that recently came out, The Old Republic, the Star Wars PC game, that has received a lot of flack for. Hasn't it been in a recent update that gay marriage is now, or like gay relationships are now part of the game.
In Star Wars?
In Star Wars, yeah.
Ooh.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Reference Torchwood and Doctor Who on
Doctor
that one.
Who.
The captain.
Oh,
Jack Harkness?
Yeah, Jack.
He's not. He can sleep with anything.
He
in the
sleeps
universe.
with anything in the universe. Well, I mean, in the Star Wars universe, that makes sense. Like, if you're a human, and
Except
there's
for
a-
Donna. He doesn't want to sleep with Donna, I don't think.
Except for that.
Except for that.
But
yeah, I mean, like, and Bethesda's received a lot of flack for that they're allowing gay marriage in a video game.
mm-hmm.
And it's just that implication of a real world thing in a video game. Parents are saying, we don't want our kids exposed to that kind of content.
I have my theory on this as well.
Mm-hmm.
Is anyone curious to hear it?
Oh, of course.
Okay, well, here's my theory on why Americans love violence in movies and video games.
Mm-hmm.
It's because in our culture, we fetishize death so much. We're always being told that the terrorists are going to come and kill us, that a terrorist attack can happen anytime, that we're always in danger. We don't let our kids go outside by themselves these days because somebody might kidnap them and do something terrible to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've kind of created like a death cult because people can control you through fear.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what's going on these days. However, sex, which is interesting to me, is I feel like Americans, and this is going to sound strange, but we're more sexually liberated than maybe the Europeans are. And the reason why I say this is because sex is not such a big deal to us in some respects, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's why we don't have it in our films so much as this taboo kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And why it's not so weird for us, I think. But we're always talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just my theory.
No, I think that's actually a valid point in that I guess with movies, implied sex, keyword implied, happens a lot.
Yeah.
Because it's not directly said, nor do you directly see it happen.
It's more titillating.
I mean, but you see, like, the cameras panning out or panning away, and, you know, a man and a woman, or, you know, like any combination of the two.
the one that's becoming more popular is where, like, it's not like the woman's doing, like, this, and all you can see is, like, this.
Yeah.
That's all I can see. Like, that's
Side
obviously a bent back.
Yeah.
That is a side boob.
But
That is
which
side
I
boob.
actually, to compare to what you were saying,
Mhm.
I do think it's interesting how we see that, but let's say Fight Club, we're okay with seeing, well, I don't want to say too much, but people get killed and it's pretty obvious.
Actually, it's interesting because Fight Club, only one person actually dies in the whole film.
Mhm.
But it's an incredibly violent film.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we're okay with, oh God, pick any gangster movie. Okay, I'm going to walk in and just kill tons of people. The act of sex and the act of killing, murder,
Mhm.
which should be more taboo?
I guess it's kind of when you... I guess if you're trying to, like, figure out a reason for why one is more taboo than the other. With video games, you can say violence is less taboo because of that, you know, that mask that we were talking about. And that's not a real person. That is a bit of data. That is a number.
Mm-hmm.
And you killing them is just like getting rid of them for a short amount of time and then they come back. Whereas, like, and I mean, in the real world, there has to be some sort of separation from, like, I guess a really obvious example is a soldier to an enemy. A soldier has to separate themselves from the fact that that's another human being.
Mm-hmm.
It's a threat, and they need to be taken care of.
And
So they'll shoot. Whereas, like, with sex, that separation is very difficult to maintain or to even do at all. Sex is a very intimate and very, you know, private thing, in that when you have intercourse with a person, that, like, you are with that person in that moment and you are sharing in that experience. Getting out of that bubble to try and view it from an outside, from a third party, is borderline impossible. And so I think, and I think in that regard, that's why violence is less taboo than sex, because we can't make that disconnect.
But what if, like, you're in a fist fight with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
Like that's pretty. That's like you are squaring off with somebody. Oh, what movie is it? Oh, Black Hawk Down, Saving Private Ryan. One of those. At one point in time, an ammunitions man and an actual gunman are in a tower, and a soldier realizes that those two are in the tower, and the soldier walks up, and enemy soldier, I should say, and I can't remember exactly which one this movie is. It's one of those war movies that came out during that time. The two get into like a quick fight. Somebody gets out the knife, kind of thing. The ammunition soldier is like back. He doesn't know what to do during this entire fight. At some point in time, the enemy soldier is on top of the allied soldier and is slowly pushing a knife down right here. And he's like slowly killing him.
That's in Saving Private Ryan, isn't it? I think it is.
Yeah, I think so. I really want to say it is.
I think it is.
And he's slowly pushing it in. I'd say that's a pretty intimate moment when you can look directly into when you can look directly into their eyes. You're on top of them.
It's almost sexual.
It's real sexual. You're shoving this into them.
Yeah, you're inserting something.
Okay. To be Freudian, you're penetrating. You're penetrating. Anyway, I mean, you're slowly stabbing this person. I mean, that's a pretty like intimate activity.
Well, I mean, yeah, you talk about how two opposing figures kind of complete each other, and sex is obviously the same way. That's what I think.
I think that coming out of the Victorian age, taboos have kind of already been set.
Yes.
And that's it's definitely like this is resonating, and it's really hard to get rid of that. I mean, ever since not Freud, but Ford's T model, his concept of rumble seats, he's definitely created a sexual liberation, and that's become more and more popular throughout different sexual revolutions in America.
Right.
But it's still more okay to hack somebody's like eyes out with like a drill.
For who?
On a horror film, than show somebody having sex.
Really? In a horror film?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
Saw.
Well, I guess
Saw.
Oh yeah, Saw is.
I guess actual sex. You know. Yeah, you never see that in film.
It get like actual sex in a film gets its own backroom and that
Besides
local
certain California movies.
You might get the occasional titillage. God forbid. Of course, you might have the guy that's completely like topless. But I mean, the girl's topless. It's like.
But she has a blanket over. I mean,
it's ridiculous.
That's how it works, right? I mean, in a relationship, you never see the girl naked. But that's how the movie says.
Well, that's
how most movie rules go.
I'm just kidding.
Well, no, think about it. Like horror movies. Okay, think of horror movies. Think of like any Jason or Freddy Krueger film you've ever seen in your life, and think about the two people that are left over at the end of the film that are alive.
Original brown-haired girl.
Yeah, it's a girl and a guy typically, and they're usually in some sort of relationship. Every other girl in that group, you have probably seen her boobs sometime throughout the film. They get hacked off, but the people who are left at the end.
the Anglo-Protestant girl who's saving herself for the right man that she'll be married to and make sandwiches for.
And make sandwiches for.
She lives.
But yeah, I mean, you never see the female character. Typically, it's female, male, just because the phallus is supremely taboo in American film.
Not anymore. Well, no, it seems like comedies these days, you always see the guy's dick, because it's still funny. I remember I saw something like Ashton Kutcher on Punk'd, where he says, "Naked men are just funny. Why can't we be sexy?"
Why can't we be sexy? The only example that comes to mind for me is The Hangover.
That's what I was just thinking. When you saw a little penis, you're just like,
I think of Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Yeah. I mean, you see it, and it's like,
I'm more what unexpected.
Those are some brief moments, though. I mean, always very brief and very near and far. When it comes to movies, I mean, you're more likely to see breasts in a film than you are penis. That's just how it works.
Is odd, I think. I think breasts should be way more okay, personally, because I mean, you're going to show a guy's top; it doesn't matter. But
Yeah, it's just the whole.
Well, you never see female genitalia.
Yeah.
Ever in film.
Uh-huh.
I've never seen a movie where they've actually shown female genitalia.
Yeah. See, that's an area that hasn't even come into question.
It's the next cross.
Because I hear arguments for more female nudity in the upper region, and then I hear arguments for more male nudity just to like even the playing field, I guess.
more lower body.
Yeah, more lower body.
For males, and then
but for girls, lower body, I have never heard people be like, you know what, there needs to be more vagina.
Elton Kumar too.
Pushing boundaries.
Pushing boundaries. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't hear outcries for like more lower female, genitalia in movies. Like, I have not heard that. I hear arguments for the other two categories, but never for vaginas.
It's weird. It's weird how men only have one taboo area, really.
When you think about it,
it's only one area, but women have so many.
So many.
It is peculiar.
Though to be fair, we do all have butts.
Yeah, but I've seen Tommy Pickles' butts on Rugrats. Come on, they can show butts in cartoons.
Oh.
Okay, why is it okay to be the bad guy in video games and not in real life?
I think I'd like to point out Skyrim. In Skyrim, as a low-level character, you obey the guards of Whiterun. You do not steal and get caught. You do not kill people most of the time, unless you really need to, or if they're attacked you first. If you really dislike a character for the way they looked at you, or because they're glitched on some weird wall and they're like doing a quick move,
it's merciful.
It's merciful.
Yeah.
You look at them and you say, "You sir are glitched," and you walk away.
Oh man, that's like Sisyphus. You damn that man to eternal glitch.
But you walk back there as a level 40 mage. You're wearing all heavy plate armor, and you look kind of like a god. And you're walking back into the town of Whiterun, and you see this glitched man, and you say, "I'm going to kill every guard in this town, erase my bounty, and then I'll kill you."
Oh wow, that's pretty brutal.
So, to take that example to now, I'm having a real hard time wearing most of my plate mail in real life, and I have a real hard time shooting off fireballs
and getting away with it.
Magic missiles. I try to shoot the darkness, and it never happens.
Yeah, and then if it does, the police come.
And I can't take them on because I'm not high enough level.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be at least level 90 for that. Let's face it, who's level 90 in this room?
Well, I like to point out that a lot of times law enforcement in video games is often really, really, really stupid.
Real dumb.
Yeah, I mean, I think a wonderful example is Grand Theft Auto. You can whip out your Uzis and just like hailfire fires you into
just
the
the
air.
way you say that makes me think of, violence and guns as being very phallic.
Yeah.
I'm gonna whip out mine and I'm gonna penetrate that cop with my bullets.
But like, shoot your guns in the air, shoot buildings, don't shoot people, but just shooting bullets everywhere. Take out a Molotov cocktail, throw it at an empty car. Boom. Nothing. Heaven forbid, pick up a prostitute, driving around town, and have sex with her in the car.
Yeah, heaven forbid.
And then all these random events that you can do, but the moment you nick someone else's car with your vehicle and they're driving it, all hell breaks loose. The officers are ramming your car to get you to get out. Instant death. Just
what would happen if they started coming and you just pull over and the cops just come and talk to you like in normal situations?
See, that's the thing. Like,
it's like, sir, have you been drinking?
I want you to come out here and repeat the alphabet backwards. Walk in a straight line.
Yeah, I mean, like, There is no intermediary area. There is.
I am literally drunk playing this video game.
How did you know?
The example keyboard is Z, Y. What was my last one that I Xbox is away.
But like, the officers or the law enforcement is usually just not doing anything to you, or they are trying to murder you in any way they can. And the escalation can get ridiculous.
Yeah, we just want to call you in and talk to you a bit.
Yeah.
We got a complaint. Heard you were playing music loud in your house.
Yeah, like that kind of thing never happens. And like what things that the law enforcement will react to, at least in Grand Theft Auto, is ridiculous. Another example, Saints Row the Third.
The title sounds so pretentious.
I know, but like, you murder just hundreds of people, walk into a building you own. The officers just leave you alone. They're like, "Oh, he's gone now. Can't get him." They'll leave.
He's out of our reach.
Yeah, I mean, or like the fly to the top of a skyscraper. Well, it's too far now. Game over. The jig's up, boys. Let's go home.
Again. That guy just keeps on killing hundreds of people and getting away with it.
Like going back to like Grand Theft Auto, I know I've definitely hijacked tanks, ran them through entire city. Just this is great, just destroying things. Oh, a helicopter and this guy. Take that out. No big deal. You get out and you run under a bridge and you wait. You see like eventually they just won't care.
Yeah.
And it's like okay, that's it.
Well,
I don't need to get a tattoo to change anything. I just, that's it. I can go steal some more cars, maybe a tank again. I mean, I have the same one parked next to me still. They haven't tried to recover it because God forbid they lost a tank and they don't find it.
That'd be funny if they made a Grand Theft Auto game where you get caught. You have to go through the horror of the legal system. you end up in prison. You have to be initiated by the Aryan Brotherhood. It's this big complex thing. You finally get out when you're 40 or 50, 60, and you realize that you threw your life away, and prison was your life, like Morgan Freeman's character.
What is it? There's a game. It's one of my favorite anti-piracy things they put inside of a game. So they're like, we're releasing this game. Yay, it's released on the same release date. They were like, Pirate Bay, here's our game for freeze. And they put it on Pirate Bay. Now the Pirate Bay version.
Is there any place you can go besides here right now? Only for half an hour at most.
Thanks, guys.
So they released another version up on like Pirates Bay on the pirating network. So if you downloaded the pirated version, you get pretty far, like three quarters into the game, and you would hit this spot where this officer comes in and the game, and he talks to your avatar for about 30 minutes of dialect, and the game shuts down.
Yeah,
you cannot pass that.
I'm thinking of Mr. Rossetti on Animal Crossing right now.
Yeah. The guy, like the mole that would come out and be like, "You didn't save your game. You tried turning it off without saving."
Yeah.
Like, and it would just go through like a 10-minute dialogue.
It would literally be 10 minutes of him just talking on and on and on and on and on. And you couldn't get out of it.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
It sounds like a Kingdom Hearts tutorial in the beginning. Yeah, like awful.
But I guess when I think of good law enforcement in a video game, I think Skyrim. Because, I mean, the only way you're able to deal with them... well, Sir! Well, here's my thinking. Like, if you... Say you're in a particular town, and you've, like, killed a bunch of people, and you've stolen a bunch of things... And as a result of that, you've gotten a bounty on your head. They want you in, or they want you to pay. And unless you're with a particular faction, you can't make that bounty just disappear. So as a result of that, you walk into that town, they will try and kill you. Every time you walk back in, they will follow you out and they will try and murder you. If you've murdered someone, then they'll try and kill you. If you've stolen something, they'll try and kill you. I mean, they're infallible in that they will come after you.
They will kill you.
And you can surrender, but they'll take you to jail. Or you have to pay your fine. Or you can resist, and they'll try and kill you again.
And then you have the Batman on your tail.
And that's what I think, in that they're a good law enforcement, in that they won't just give up because you left. Or that you're not in sight anymore. They remember that you're an asshole.
That's funny.
And they'll come back after you.
Huh.
It's not this ridiculous system like Grand Theft Auto where you have level 5 like bounty on your head. They're gonna try and kill you with a helicopter and a rocket launcher. Hide under a bridge for 10 minutes.
I love that they try and kill you with a rocket launcher.
Oh yeah.
It seems like a good plan, I think.
I mean, they're police, right?
Why would they use anything else? But
I think police should only be able to use that. Like, straight up,
Yeah,
crime might go down.
I think it would.
Like, so if somebody's like, okay, I habitually assault people in bars. Like, I just like to get into fights. They're like, I'm not going to even try to shoot you. I have a rocket launcher.
They should
You will not
ban guns.
exist.
They should ban guns, but make rocket launchers legal.
make rocket launchers legal. God.
It'd be ridiculous.
Because no one would ever do anything wrong.
But I mean, I guess getting back to the kind of the original idea, why people are bad in video games, it's because I think it's the thing that the crime is essentially null and void. They can't punish you for it.
Right.
I mean, they can't kill you because you're going to come back.
So you think the only thing preventing people from doing crimes in the real world is the law?
There's no respawn in the real world.
Mhm.
You don't know that.
Truth.
The threat of punishment. I mean, like in a video game, there is no punishment. I mean, oh, we're going to charge you $10,000 for doing X event. Well, that's all right. I'm just going to get another $10,000 later. So okay, I'll pay that.
Yeah.
Or you die in a video game. Heaven forbid if there are respawns in real life.
Yeah.
People would do ridiculously stupid.
Overpopulation would be a big problem.
Overpopulation.
I've heard one of the reasons why in the real world people can commit such atrocities is because we take life too seriously.
Mhm.
So maybe we should... But then I get to the point where people might take it like Grand Theft Auto style.
See,
not take life. I think there's a balance there where you have to realize that you shouldn't take life too seriously, but at the same time you should. And it's hard to find that.
Well,
that sweet
not
spot.
to try to be like passing morals, but I mean, I personally don't believe we know if we were to act like in Grand Theft Auto or Skyrim, and you know, I mean, I can't summon a storm, but you might be able to summon a couple of Uzis. But like, we don't know if that might be a really great way of life. I don't know. I haven't tried it.
well, it kind of depends on your viewpoint. On an individual basis, terrible. Because the chance of being murdered just goes through the roof.
Dying is normally against my objective in life.
Normally?
Normally. But when you think about it on a global scale, I mean, I think that overpopulation is becoming a problem. Diseases, for the most part in modern cultures, have really taken a nosedive, and so people aren't dying. And this may be terrible to say, but I mean, without people dying, conditions can get worse just because there are too many people. And in a situation like our country, there are a lot of older people who have retired. And not that I don't love Grandpa, but he's soaking up money living.
Wait, where did this come from?
I'm trying to even remember what the original topic was.
I think we got on the lines of moral justification somewhere.
Yeah, it's why it's okay to do such terrible, atrocious things to bits of data that we we are pretty sure don't have feelings and emotion.
We're pretty sure.
But why in the real world, it's different.
I guess we got into the topic of respawning.
Yeah.
And, like having lives and being around forever.
In a lot of ways, I disagree heavily with what you're saying.
Okay. but I'm thinking more along the lines of, being able to just go out in this, like, anarchy type society where just getting an Uzi is no problem.
Yeah.
People dying all over the place, although on an individual basis that'd be terrible. On a global scale, less people might potentially be a good thing.
But see, if there was a bunch of dead people lying around, wouldn't that?
I mean, I'm not saying that the method of delivery.
Disease you're talking about.
Move to the city, you'll be fine.
I mean, I'm not saying the method of delivery is a good thing, nor am I thinking that it is a good thing in the first place.
Well,
but this is a mindset, though.
If we can get like all these people into like a chamber.
This is This is the old people that are weighing down the system.
Well, no, I mean
but if you look at demographics,
mm-hmm.
the world population, though still growing, is slowing down a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And by the end of the next 100 years, my prediction is that the world population will be very, very close to stagnating, if not shrinking.
See, that is a curious thought. I've heard the opposite mindset as well, though, that we're just going to continue to grow.
But that, from what we've seen in the Western world, that is not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I'm thinking is that...
And even in places like the Middle East, people aren't as having as many kids these days as they were back just 20 years ago. So.
Well, I mean, this is branching on a tangent.
This is a huge tangent. This has nothing to do with anything, so maybe we shouldn't even...
Let's just go.
That's no interesting I'd like to talk about, but yes, let's move on.
Alright, so this is the last question, and then we'll wrap things up. Overall, what do video games say about our real-world personalities? Our identities that we carry with us?
I think that it definitely shows that people are more okay with doing something that we consider morally or ethically okay. People are more okay with them doing something that they consider not okay if they consider themselves an abstract object and they consider their opponent or what they would do this action to as an abstract object. It really pushes that idea. I don't know if that has anything else to do with our motives or hidden motives or anything along those lines, but it definitely shows that we have behavior that if we're abstract and they're abstract, we will cause hell.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard a lot of things about what it can affect as you as a person, and that like your intelligence, your reflexes, how you attack problems, problem solving, just in general things kind of more arbitrary, not personality per se. The only thing I usually hear is that video games make you violent, but that's something we've already talked about, and we disagree with that idea. Other than that, I really don't hear about whether or not people who play video games are happier or if they're more depressed. I mean, I like to think that
I don't know, it's kind of the same thing as like people that watch movies, are they happier? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and even depending on genres, I mean, that's a totally by an individual basis type of thing. Because I'd consider myself a happy person.
Yeah.
But am I always playing happy video games? No, I'm in a post-apocalyptic wasteland a lot of the time. I mean, that's not a happy setting.
I mean, in a lot of ways, movies, video games are modern man's myths. They're not presented as such as they were back thousands of years ago, but they are. They show us timeless themes and how to live our lives and different stages of our lives, and though they're produced by companies, which some might see as slightly terrifying. But for me, I think what video games say, I mean, they say billions of things, but the thing I want to take away from this is that it's very easy for people to play different roles, and we often see our personalities as not a role that we're playing. It's not something that our personalities are innately us. But I think video games show us that maybe that isn't the case. We can be anything we want to be. And I guess that's my final thoughts. Any thoughts after that?
No, I think that's a really good point in that. I guess video games are also just a way for us to explore other sides of ourselves.
That's
a really good one. I know Minecraft. One of the things you can do is you can modify your skins, and I know plenty of people have like flavor of the week skins. Like I'm gonna be Sub-Zero, I'm gonna be Scorpion, I'm gonna be a commando guy. Just kind of an interesting thing. Like maybe our personalities are really changing every week or something along those lines.
Well, I mean, there's tons of archetypes, and usually we only indulge one, and that's our main personality. However, they all exist inside of us. And so when we play a video game, we can allow those other archetypes to come out of us. Or when we read a book or watch a movie, we experience something. It's complete experience.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, because, a happy person can have the opportunity to be a depressed person in a video game. Or a violent person can take the time and play Nintendogs. I mean,
this game's great.
Just be completely satisfied with taking care of a completely helpless creature.
Right.
And,
play Farmville. Why are you on death row?
And it's kind of interesting to think
that. Water my crops.
That we're given so many options to explore different sides of who we are, and in a safe environment, essentially. An environment typically without judgment.
Right. And I'll even go as far to say, even from ourselves. Because when we interact in the real world, there's something in our mind that's saying, no, this can't happen, or no, you can't completely, in a lot of respects, have complete experiences, because the Apollo aspect of you is back there saying, no, you can't do that, or you have to think through your actions more. In a video game or in a book, you can just experience it. It's why dance and music are the purest form of art, because they force you to be in the experience a lot of time. Even a rave. A rave is the most pure experience you can have. I've never been to a rave. I'll just say that right now, mother.
I mean, I guess this is kind of going back to another point about violence in video games. I mean, people who play video games can be violent, or people who are murderers can play video games, but not all video gamers are murderers. I mean, it's a personality thing. It's an individual basis.
We all have Ares, Mars up in our heads.
Yeah. And,
we usually don't choose to indulge him, but in video games we have a healthy way to do that.
Yeah. But, I mean, I guess that's my thought on this whole process.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for listening. I think my voice is crap.
Well, if I were both just...
Yeah. Goodbye.
Farewell.
Toodaloo.